The podcast is now arriving. Enjoy your time.
Hello and welcome back to everyone's favorite footy podcast, the Wicket Train podcast. Today I'm joined with three other people. We got a newcomer right below me with Caleb Matheson. How you going?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Levi. How are you going?
Not bad, mate. Are you better at interviews than your Uncle Tom or no comment?
Yeah, I reckon I got him covered, honestly. I do pretty
Right,
well at
we'll,
these interviews.
we'll get that one clipped and sent to him. Jack T, how you doing?
I'm very good. How are you, Levi?
Yeah, mate, nothing changed since I spoke to Caleb. And Vass, how you going?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How are you?
Again, nothing really changed since I spoke to Caleb, so doing all right. Obviously,
Like
round
Caleb's
11
haircut.
is round 11 is coming upon us, so we gave a little spiel about round 10. Round 11, it looks to be a all right round for once. Fastest now somewhere below me, but we'll leave it to it.
Yeah, not bad, mate.
Um, we're starting off with Caleb's Western Bulldogs taking on the minor premiers at the moment, the Sydney Swans. Which way do we see this one going, lads?
I reckon Caleb starts us off. Big
Yeah,
dogs.
I'll start us off. Honestly, I don't reckon we'll win, but we're not bad form. Just bet the Giants over there and bet Richmond the week before by quite a bit. So not in bad form. Hopefully we can back at Marvel this week. So hopefully I reckon it'll be whoever wins it out of the midfield will win the game. I reckon. Obviously, both teams have really good midfields. And I think it's whoever wins it out of the midfield will win the game. But hopefully, I reckon if the Bont, Trelaw, Ed Richards in the midfield now, hopefully if they can get going, we win the game. So I reckon we'll win by 2 goals.
Not bad. All right. Yeah, well, I've got a fairly close game. I think both teams are been pretty good the last 2 weeks or so. Darcy's been impressive for the Dogs. Ed Richards has really been good in the midfield. Yeah, Dogs seem to just be playing some good footy at the moment. Beat JWS up at the Giants Stadium, which is a pretty big scalp in my opinion, even though the Giants haven't been playing too great of footy. But yeah, should be good. It's at Marvel, so I have a little bit of faith in the Dogs. But I still think Sydney are too good across the board. They're too strong. They're good in the air. They're good on ground. They're a good tackling team. They're a good kicking team. I reckon they just got the Dogs covered. But I reckon the Dogs will show up. But I'll say the Swans win this one in a close one by 3 points.
Yeah, I'll go. I've got Sydney winning. Like I said last week, Sydney are just too good this season. I reckon they're having a really strong season just all around the board. You look everywhere and you see all Australian caliber players in their team, so I don't see them losing.
Jordan Swift, I rate it. Look, as much as I want this to be a close game, I'm not too sure this one will pan out. We see the inconsistencies in the Dogs game take new leads and strides each week. You got to think to get up against JWS was good. They lost to Hawthorn again earlier, like I touched on last week, which is like, what are you doing? The season starting at 5-5, and when you're 5-5, you're really looking to turn that round to more of a 10-6. I don't know if I can start that with the Swans. Obviously, look at the Dogs. Ed Richards is now taking a brand new role in the midfield with Tom Laboratory being out. But I just still see the Swans getting up. I think Heaney's been playing well. Chad Warner, who's been a little sneak in there, averaging about 25 positives a game, nearly 4 clearances. And I think we'll see another Swans win as we're getting used to this season. And the Swans should get up by about 20 is my guess. And with that, the second game of this round, we have Fremantle hosting Collingwood Magpies at the Friday night game, 8:10. That's a gross time. I'll start. Look, this could go either way. I think again. Fremantle sit the favourites at the moment. They're ninth on the ladder though, Collingwood are fifth. Fremantle is slowly building a fortress at home though, along with West Coast at that Optus Stadium. And I think if they're able to keep Dacos quiet, Hayden Young gets firing, Sarong gets firing, Jackson has a good day in the ruck against no notable Collingwood ruck. I think we can see Freo get up here. And my early guess is Freo by 10.
Yeah, look, I've pretty much gone the same route. I've actually tipped Fremantle. as you said, I think they are building a bit of a fortress up there with West Coast as well. It's a hard season to predict because any team can show up on any given day. So this really could be one of those games that goes either way. But Fremantle, their last two games, they kicked, what was it, against Sydney? I think it was 18 or so points. And last week against St Kilda, it was 18 points or something as well. Like, they're getting the shots at goal. They're just inconsistent in front of the sticks. And I reckon this could be a game where the forwards are up and firing. You know, Amiss is on fire. Walters can have a really good game. The midfield, Brayshaw, Young, Sarong, Jackson in the ruck. They could just have a real blinder of a game, just absolutely tear the game apart. And I think Luke Ryan in defense will be a rock. Alex Pearce could have a really good game. It's going to be a close one, I reckon. Lockie Schultz against his old team will be a bit of fun, bit of fire. But I reckon Fremantle at Optus might just be too good for Collingwood. But I am not too confident about it. Collingwood are starting to get back into that really good form.
Yeah, I'll go. I've gone different to you two blokes. I've gone Collingwood. I just reckon, I still reckon they're probably the second best team in the comp at the stage. And like Vass said, they're getting back into that premiership caliber footy. So yeah, and again, I just think their midfield's too good. Although, like you guys said, Fremantle still have like Sarong and all that, but I've got Collingwood by 20.
Yeah, I'm with Talbot. I reckon the Pies will just be too good for Freo in the end. I think Freo need a win with how tight the competition is, obviously sitting outside the 8 at the moment. But Collingwood, after having a shaky start, look like they're in their premiership form again. So I reckon Collingwood win this game by about 4 or 5 goals.
I like it. Bit of 50-50 here. This is good.
I think
Big game.
us right now shows us how hard this is for a comp. This it's so even, but it's so inconsistent. It's just look, it's a bit of a guess most weeks, but what's not a guess is this one of the first games on this Saturday, and that is Northern Port at Bloodstone Arena.
Yeah, look. To be fair to North Melbourne, they beat Essendon in the clearance battle and at the stoppage, which is probably Essendon's biggest strength this year. And, you know, they were pretty impressive for a half and a little bit into that third quarter. But, yeah, they just don't have the legs. And obviously against a team like Port Adelaide who thrive against, like, bottom 4 teams. Like, this will just be a 10-goal win for Port, I'm assuming. Like, even though Port nearly fumbled against Hawthorn last week, I still think they're going to be too good for North Melbourne. They obviously are going to be too good for North Melbourne. So, yeah, look, I'm not going to say too much about this. All I'm going to say is Port Adelaide by about 62 points.
Like Vass said. Well, I've written power because North is shite. So not much to say about North Melbourne this season, obviously. Like I said, they're playing shocking footy. They're just not looking like a team, in my opinion. You've got Harry Sheasel and Nick Larkey, and then you've got that Ruckman. But apart from that, there's genuinely not much around the rest of the ground for North. And I just think Port will run over them by 48.
Yeah, I reckon North, they're showing patches in games where they look okay. Like, you can see the future in their team with obviously Sheasel, Lucky, and a few good midfielders like LDU in there. But I just feel like they just can't put together a full quarter performance. And I think Port will just be too good for them in the end. And I reckon they'll win by about 55 points.
Yeah, look, it's a sight you don't want to see. You're winless after 10 games, and you don't look like winning one. Yes, you play a good half of footy, but you know the best teams play a good game of footy. And unfortunately, 2 quarters doesn't win you a game, and I see this one going the exact same way. Port taking the win, and unfortunately, if I had a game to watch this Saturday at 1:45 time slot, it's not this game. It is the next one between Carlton and Gold Coast. But yeah, I don't know what the goal is with North, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, Carlton Gold Coast provides another tough challenge. You got to think both teams sit 6 and 4. One's coming off a big win against Geelong. The other one looked all right against the flag favourites at this stage, the Sydney Swans. So this could go either way. And I think at Marvel gives bias to Carlton, and I'll go Carlton by 12.
Yeah, I agree. I reckon home ground advantage to Carlton. They'll get a big crowd in. Gold Coast, small supporter base, won't cause too much havoc against Carlton's mad fan base, which will show up for this game, I'm sure. This game's definitely going to be one in the midfield, I reckon. Two really elite midfields going at it. You know, Rao, Anderson, Tuke Miller for the Gold Coast, and then you got Cripper. You know, you got Walsh, like just quality midfielders all around. It's going to be a good battle in there. And then up forward, you know, Kinkerno and Mackay getting some good form. I feel like they've been out of it for a little bit, especially last week against the Swans. I didn't think they were too good. But it will be an interesting test for Gold Coast. And if they can get a big scalp in this game against Carlton, I reckon they have every chance at making finals this year.
I reckon Carlton are going to win. playing at home is definitely going to be a big advantage for them. Although Gold Coast did look really strong last week against Geelong, I will admit, in those conditions to kick 164 was it?
Yep.
That's really impressive in my opinion. They just dominated, but in my opinion, I've still got Carlton winning by 10 points.
I just want to point out, Levi, you already said my margin tip. You said 12 points, so that's why I didn't say mine. Just want to point that out there.
Yeah, I reckon I've actually gone opposite to you boys. I reckon the Suns will get up because I think the Blues, they've looked poor in the last couple of weeks. I think last week against Sydney, after halftime they just didn't really look like showing up. And I reckon the Suns, after getting a good win against the Cats, I feel like in form, and the Blues actually sit outside the 8 at the moment. So I reckon the Suns get up here, but I reckon it definitely will be a close game. As you guys said, it definitely will be a battle in the midfield. But I reckon the Suns get up by 7 points.
The thing is, I'm not against that, but I just feel like Marvel just provides a little bit of home ground turf.
Yeah.
But we go to two teams who've had a tough month of football, and that is Geelong GWS at GMHBA Stadium.
Geelong are winning.
Oh,
Geelong are winning this game.
Hold on. You were quick off the blocks here. Give us a thought behind this.
Get the box. I don't know. What's the reason?
Comeback game. I don't care. Geelong are winning.
You can say comeback game. I reckon this
I
is
don't
more of a
care.
wicked comeback from GWS. GWS
No.
need this win more than what Geelong do.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think GWS need it more than Geelong. You know, like Geelong have dropped the last 3 games in a row, which I didn't predict, but somehow it's happened. But look, I think both midfields have been kind of shot. You know, Kelly's out for GWS, Dangerfield's missing for the Cats. But even with that, like GWS still have a way stronger midfield than the Cats. They still got really good targets up forward. They've got a really sound defense. They're still really good across the board. They haven't been putting together their best football. Even like stars like Sam Taylor and Whitfield, you know, they've been vocal about that as well. I reckon this is a game that they could really get back into their really good form. You know, it's a skinny ground, move the ball quick, score some big goals, get a big score against Geelong at the home deck and silence the crowd. I reckon GWS are a team that can really do that. And look, I'm not trying to say that Geelong's going to drop 4 in a row because, look, well, I am trying to say that actually because I'm tipping GWS. But look, the Cats midfield against Giants midfield, it's like boys playing against men. I reckon you look Tanner Bruin and Jack Bowes, like they're not as big as your Tom Greens, your Caniglios. Like they're just gonna. I reckon the Giants will dominate around the ground. And look, it will be a close game for sure. But look, I just can trust the Giants a little bit more this week. No, I can forgive them for a pretty off performance against the Dogs last week, but I can't forgive the Cats for losing to Gold Coast by 60 plus. So I'm going to say GWS win this one. It's a fairly close game. I'll go Giants by 5 points.
Yeah, I'm with Vass. I think the Cats, they were really poor last week. Giants, they were good for the first 3 quarters, really. But I reckon we probably just adapted to the conditions a bit better than they did. But if you look at the Cats forward line as well, I think we all talk about the Cats having a good forward line, but this year I just feel like it's not. They're not playing as well as they should. Tom Hawkins obviously hasn't done as well as he should be doing this year, obviously getting older. And Jeremy Cameron not in his best form either. So I feel like the Giants with a solid backline down there and a really good midfield, I think the Giants run over the Cats by about 3 goals.
See, I'm still going with Geelong, in my opinion. It is rare that Geelong lose at home, although we did against Port Adelaide, but I don't see Geelong losing 4 games in a row. Although GWS have really strong midfield, like Vass said, honestly, don't really have much of a reason that Geelong are going to win. It's just, I feel like we'll just play a better team brand of footy, and we'll just end up running over them by only like 15 points.
I'm going to touch on what Vass said here. Pick your midfield here, lads. I'm going to list you the Rocks, the 2 followers, and the centre from both teams last week. From the Giants party, you got Kieran Briggs, Callum Ward, Stephen Canelio, Tom Green, versus Toby Conway, Cam Guthrie, Jack Burrows, and Bernard Parfitt.
I think the GWS midfield wins there.
Yeah, same.
Geelong have a lot of really good B rate players, but I reckon GWS has just got a lot of A players. Like Tom Green is a superstar, Caniglio is a superstar. Kieran Briggs is one of the best rocks in the league, I reckon. And yeah, Callum Ward, he may be old, but he's still one of the best players out there.
And looking at it, you go, Jack Burrows wasn't well known until he moved to the Cats. Brendan Parfitt was playing VFL 2 years ago. Conway's a kid. Cam Guthrie's playing all right, but he's coming back from injury. Their backup midfielders, Tanner Brown, Tom Atkins, and look, I don't know who else is replacing. Maybe Max Holmes comes in. We'll have a look at what the Giants are looking at here. You got Toby Green, Cadman's playing well, Daniels is playing well, Buckley's playing well, Lockie Whitfield as well.
Sam
Harry
Taylor.
Himmelberg is a name I haven't listed as well.
Yeah, Sam Taylor. Jesse.
Sam Taylor. As much as I love the Geelong Cats and as much as I support them, they got a fortress down at GMHBA. I don't know. I think it comes down to which team Geelong picks this week, and obviously that's not out yet. And look, the game's not going to be played between the midfield because Giants should dominate the midfield. It's going to be a game played in the forward 50s. Which defense can get over? If Hawkins and Cameron are back, how can GWS keep them quiet? If they do, they got an easy day. Can they restrict Jesse Hogan? If they do, could be an easy day as well. I don't see another Giants forward kicking many apart from Toby Green, who normally does against Geelong as well, by the way. So look, I've got GWS by 8. It'll be close, I reckon. I've got them by 8. And then to cap off our Saturday footy, Dreamtime at the G, Richmond versus Vass's Mighty Bombers. I'm going to put out there, the Mighty Bombers.
Not even close.
Yeah, like the little money in front of it. Look, it should be a spectacle. There's no doubt. Obviously, Dreamtime's always a spectacle. It's really good to celebrate what the Aboriginals have done to respect what they have done for the game of AFL football. I reckon Essendon are going to win. I think it's very obvious that I'm going to say Essendon are going to win. Richmond is playing shit football, to be short and simple. They are playing shit football. And look, even their top guys like Bolton, Martin, they're not flying at the moment. They aren't playing good footy like they usually would. But looking at Essendon and what they've been able to do against other teams, they haven't been able to put the foot on the throat of other teams and really put some scoreboard pressure on and get really big percentage boosts. Their biggest win this year was against North Melbourne by 40 points. Now, if Essendon are to be a top 4 team, a top 6 team, they need to be putting teams away by a lot more than that. And look, I reckon Richmond are kind of team that Essendon can do that against. No, they don't have a lot of tall timber. It should be if you watch Richmond play, they go down the line to a pack. It should be really simple pickings for guys like Redmond, Mackay, like Ridley, who might be coming back. Apple's been in absolute spectacular form. Just want to put that out there as well. Well, and then you just look around the whole ground. Essendon's just got a lot of really good players. This is a type of game where I could see Zach Merritt just going absolutely nuts, probably kicking 3 and having 32. Not trying to glaze him, but this is a type of game he could really step up and play his best footy. I reckon up forward we got Nate Caddy debuting. That'll be exciting. Peter Wright up forward, Langford up forward. Really, all I'm concerned about in that defense for Richmond is Nick Boston. I think he's had a really good season. But other than that, they don't look too flash down in defense. In the guts, too many guns, to be honest. So I reckon Essendon should be getting on top there. And up forward, Richmond just look absolutely in shambles at the moment. So I don't think Essendon are going to win by a lot. I reckon Adam Uze will drill this to the Tigers that, look, it's a big game. Play some tough footy. Go out there, have a crack. And I reckon they'll bring a bit of pressure and they'll play some solid footy. But I reckon Essendon are going to put the foot down on the throat and kick away by 10 goals. I'll say they win by 50 points.
Yeah, I reckon that it's always a close game, usually. But I don't think it'll be a blowout. I reckon Essendon should win, but I don't think it'll be a blowout. Obviously, big crowd. But Richmond, they just haven't really shown any effort this year. But I reckon the Essendon backline's looking really solid at the moment, and Richmond don't really have a forward line, so I think Essendon win there, and I also think they win in the midfield. So I reckon Essendon win by 4 or 5 goals. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think Essendon will just be too good in the end.
Vass is crying at the moment.
Huh?
Vass, you're crying at the moment hearing the fact that Kale just said no blowout for them.
Well, I reckon like a big.
I don't reckon it'll be a blowout.
I don't know. I mean, Richmond always something about this game between these two teams is always exciting to watch. It's always very fast paced and always very contested around the ball, very heavy contested in the midfield. And in my opinion, Essendon's midfield is just going to absolutely dominate. Their midfield's too strong. Their wingers are way too strong with what's his name? Nick Martin. He's been tearing it up. He's been playing really well. Their midfield, like Vass said, Mr. Consistent, Zach Merritt. I reckon he's going to have a big game as well. But Essendon have just been playing very good this season. So I think Essendon will get up by 38 points.
Look, they've somehow done it, and the Essendon Bombers are second on the table. 7-2-1. Richmond are 1-9. They do bring back Jaden Short potentially this week to add to their defense. Is it enough? No, it's not. The Bombers will flex their muscles in this game, and I know it's Dreamtime of the G. It's the big occasion. Talbot's head down looking at his cock.
That's enough of that, Talbot. Seriously.
Oh,
Anyways, we'll move on.
That's poor by you, Talbot. That's a 2-week suspension and $10 fine.
Right.
Essendon will just flex their muscles. It's Dreamtime of the G. It's the big occasion. It's the biggest game that these two clubs will play this year, apart from Anzac Day. It's always produced a good standard of footy, but I do believe Essendon should get up, and I'm feeling a 35-point win to about a 45-point win. And then we move to our beloved Sunday footy matchup, and we start with Hawthorn. Hawthorn playing Brisbane at Marvel. And look, it's two teams that aren't playing the greatest, especially for Brisbane's case. This has to be their worst season in about the last 5 years, I reckon. And Hawks hit 3-7, and the Hawks are a bit scary to teams that are not finding good form. And could this be a week of the Hawks get up. What are we feeling?
I've actually gone with the Hawks this week. I've got them by 13 points. They haven't lost to Brisbane since 2019, and they've been the only team to beat Brisbane every single year since 2019. So that's a big stat, I reckon. Well, Hawthorn were really poor during that time as well, and they still beat Brisbane every single time. So I don't know what it is about Brisbane and Hawthorn. I just don't think Brisbane are able to play good footy against Hawthorn. I think Hawthorn just have a number on them. And look, I reckon Hawthorn's been pretty good in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, they could have beaten Port Adelaide on Sunday last week, but obviously that late goal by Darcy Byrne-Jones really, really hurt. But it's going to be a good game, I reckon. I reckon Brisbane will show up to play. I reckon Zorko's going to have a good game. Dunkley will be back up there, playing his best footy as well. Neil should have a good game. Joey Danaher could pop up for a good game against a team like Hawthorn, and Charlie Cameron could get up and firing.
Eric Hitwood's not going to do anything.
Huh?
Eric Hitwood's not going to do anything. I just heard you mentioned Joe Danaher, but
yeah, we can talk about Danaher and Cameron. We're just not going to talk about Hipwood.
Eric Hitwood is shocking.
He's shocking. But yeah, no, look, I reckon it could be a Brisbane win. Brisbane do tend to play some pretty good football at Marvel Stadium, but I reckon Hawthorn are going to show up and they're going to upset the Lions. And I reckon they are going to win this game by 13 points. It's just I can't explain why I'm doing it, why I'm saying it, but it's just a feeling for me. I reckon Hawthorn will get up.
I've gone with Brisbane. I mean, Hawthorn aren't playing bad footy the last couple of weeks. I feel like they played a pretty decent game against Port Adelaide. To be fair to them, but they just didn't show up in that last quarter. Like Port Adelaide really just put them to bed. They just dominated them all around, in my opinion. But yeah, like nothing against them. They're not playing their worst footy. But I've still got Brisbane winning.
Yeah, I reckon Hawthorn, they looked really good against Port Adelaide, to be honest. The first 3 quarters, they were looking like a top 8 side. And they've got talent there. They're obviously very young, so that's expected not to show up for the full 4 quarters. But I feel like Hawthorn, if they can play their best footy, they're young guns in the midfield, get going, they can really challenge Brisbane. But I don't see Hawthorn winning. I think, yes, it's at Marvel, but I reckon Brisbane will probably just be too good in the end. And I reckon they'll run over them in the last quarter by about 25 points.
Here we are, lads. Hawthorn, when they lose, it's within about 5 points, or they get blown out. I'm not seeing a blown out, so I reckon I'm going to see a good game of footy out of hands. Looking through the stats here, the last 3 times this team has met each other, June 10, 2023, Hawks 98, Brisbane 73. May 22nd, 2022, Hawks 117, Brisbane 112. And again, August 1st, 2021, Hawks get up by 12. So you got an average winning margin there of about 12 again, about there. So another close game. We're going to see a good one here, lads. But the Hawks at Marvel. Brisbane not playing the best. I'm tipping another Hawks upset. And I reckon the Hawks by about 8 again. I know I said Carlton, it was the last game by 8. But I reckon, look, history shows that Hawthorn play close footy whenever they win against Brisbane. And whenever they lose, it's normally close. Look, I see the Hawks setting up. They're playing great footy on Sam Mitchell. And that's my guess. And then the second last game of the round is Melbourne taking on the Saints. Sorry, I was
Melbourne by 31 points. I'm going straight in with this. Everybody knows how vocal I am about St Kilda. I don't like anything about St Kilda besides Rowan Marshall. Otherwise, I think they're a pretty dismal team. I'm not enjoying anything about St Kilda this year. I just can't get around anything St Kilda's doing. I think forward of the ball, they're not that great. Max King's a bit overrated. I think Higgins is solid at best. I've never seen the guy kick a drop punt goal in my life. I think I've only seen him go around the body. So like, yeah, if you can't go back and kick a drop punt, then I reckon you're that good at footy if you can only kick goals around the body. But yeah, in defence, they're doing pretty well. To be honest, they're not doing terribly. I think Wilkie's been good. Sinclair's been all right. Desire Wanganeen Malura is taking his game to a new level. In the guts, they've just been very mid at best. That pretty much sums up their whole team, to be honest. Their whole season as well. It's just been very mid. It's been disappointing. Yeah. And Melbourne coming off a loss last week, a pretty embarrassing one, to be honest, against West Coast. I reckon they'll just bounce back. They've got some real bulls in the guts. They've got Gorn in the ruck, which will be good against Rowan Marshall, but Petrarca, Oliver Viney, Sparrow when he goes in there, and countless others, like they'll just get on top, but they'll be too good. And the D's will just kick away at the MCG with a home ground by 31 points.
Yeah, I reckon the Saints been really disappointing this year, honestly. I reckon after finishing in the top 8 last year under Ross Lyon, I feel like they've got stars all around the ground, really. They've got Sinclair, Marshall, King when he's fit is really good. So I feel like they've got stars there, but they're just not really performing the way they'd like. And Melbourne last week, obviously, they just got beaten out of the midfield, really. Yo, Reed and Kelly just sort of dominated them out of the middle. So I feel like Melbourne need to bounce back, and I feel like they will at the G. I reckon they'll win by about 40 points.
I've gone with Melbourne winning. I honestly don't have much to say about this game. Two Victorian sides going up against each other, but Melbourne have a very strong midfield. Although Clayton Oliver isn't playing that well this season, in my opinion. But yeah, not much to say about this game. So I've got Melbourne winning by about 21 points.
Look, apart from them going down to West Coast, the off back-to-back losses, they've bet St Kilda the last 4 times they've met, and St Kilda, I gave them a chance last week against Fremantle, and that is the last chance I'll get this footy club, because yikes, yes, you're sitting 3-7, and look, there's not much hope anymore. You get Mason Wood back coming in, but there's now a lot more issues than just Wood. I think if Ron Marshall's winning your disposals, a lot more issues than that. And yeah, I think we're going to see Melbourne get up by probably about 4 to 5 goals. Is my take. And then the last game of the round, we have.
Jeez.
I think Adelaide have too much class all around with their team. I think West Coast can keep up. And look, I do see Adelaide coming away with a 16-point win. I reckon it'll be a pretty close one.
Yeah, look, I've gone Adelaide by 26. I reckon it'll be a pretty good game. Who knows? West Coast away from home, there's question marks on if they can still produce a good brand of footy like they do at Optus Stadium. But feeling optimistic about West Coast in this game. I feel like this is a game that they could really get up and about for. Rankin's gone down with a hammy injury, which is pretty bad for Adelaide. Hurts him a little bit, and probably honestly, yeah, it makes this game a little bit closer. I reckon Rankin is a very, very, very class player, and he definitely puts a lot of scores on the board for the Crows, and definitely helps a lot around the ground. So having him out is a big loss. But I reckon the Crows should just be that little touch too strong. This could be a really big game for Tex Walker. This could be a game for Rochelle to find some good form. This could be a good game for Dawson to just dominate. Laird could have a good game. All around the board, Adelaide could just have a really good game here. But I see West Coast being competitive because they have been pretty competitive in the last few weeks. They've been really good. So I'll say Adelaide by 26, but it could be closer than that. Who knows? Maybe an upset for the Eagles.
Yeah, I reckon the Eagles are actually looking exciting at the moment, especially in Perth. I feel like that whenever Harley Reid gets the ball, the crowd just gets up and about. I feel like he's bringing sort of a new energy to the team, and I reckon, the Eagles are looking a lot more competitive this year, which is nice. And Adelaide, I reckon they high expectations at the start of the year. I don't reckon they've been a bit disappointing, but I feel like at the Adelaide Oval, I feel like they will just be a bit too good for the Eagles, like you guys said. But I reckon the Eagles will put it up to them. But Adelaide just too good, and I reckon they'll win by about 20 points.
I reckon Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval will perform very well. Wait, is it Adelaide Oval?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, at Adelaide Oval, I feel like Adelaide will just play very well, play good footy. They play pretty well down there, but like you boys said, Harley Reid has been very good. So is the West Coast midfield, especially last week. They've looked pretty exciting, but I've still got Adelaide winning by 24 points.
And that one concludes our tips for this week. Obviously, good luck to those that follow us. If you saw us last week, we averaged about 5 tips between the 9 games. Look, it's not
I
that
got
great.
6.
We
I got 7.
averaged. If you know what averaging means, then you can.
Wait,
We
I got
averaged.
6.
We
How much
averaged
did you
like
get, Levi?
we averaged like 5.5. I think I got like
We
5 or
averaged
6
5.5. Yeah, something like that. Can we just, Talbot, just don't embarrass yourself, please. I'm begging you.
I just wanted to let everyone know I got 6.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got 7, so I just.
It was posted on the Instagram, so they can see it there.
I need to get a leaderboard going here.
I was thinking about that maybe after this week.
That might be a bit of a good competition. Maybe last place has to have a bit of a punishment. Who knows? Maybe we'll
I'm on that actually.
let the YouTube subscribers pick out what they're thinking the punishment should be. So might do that.
That concludes our tips. Obviously, yeah, follow them as you will. We're not the greatest tippers. We just like to give a little insight for what we know about the sport we love and play. Obviously, thank you all for joining us once again on the Wicket Train podcast. We have been loving the support, the small support we've been getting. Keeps us engaged to do it. Obviously, new person that joined us this week. Have you seen on the game days, Caleb? Pretty good insights by you today, kid. All right, rate it.
Yeah, thank you. I thought I was actually pretty good. Not gonna lie.
Very
Loved
impressive.
it.
You, Matt. Good stuff.
Love the ego boost to himself. But look, you'll see us come in and out. You'll see Bev and Josh keep joining us. We might add in a few random guests here and there, but enough of that. That's us for tonight. Enjoy your weekend of footy. Hopefully you win. Hopefully you get some tips. And we'll see you all next week to recap again.
Cheers, lads. Up the Dons.
Yeah.